Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I recorded the intro that you're seeing right now for the beginning of this video, but it honestly just came out so boring and so cringy because I have no idea how to talk to a camera yet. Honestly, even talking to a microphone is a little bit difficult and awkward for me still, but I had to do this voiceover else all of you would have clicked away by now. Basically all I said was what this video is going to be about, which was redundant because you can already tell that by the title of the video. And I also thank you guys a lot for helping the very first video that I've ever uploaded to YouTube reach 1,000 views. That's so crazy to me, and I never would have imagined that the very first video, let alone the very first 20 videos or so that I uploaded, would ever make it to 1,000 views. I'm so thankful and grateful, and I hope that it only gets better from here. I also apologize for my really slow and inconsistent upload schedule. After this video, I'm gonna try and upload a video at least once a week. I know this intro probably wasn't much more entertaining than the original introduction that I recorded probably would have been, but it's definitely a lot better in the tone department though. I'm a very monotone sounding person, so a lot of the times I sound very boring. So that's something I'm really gonna be trying to get better at. Are you gonna make us wait much longer? Okay, geez, she'll get into it already. To start off, you just need a container. Any size container will work, but you just want to use one that allows for at least a little bit of growth for runners, and something with enough height for taller growing plants like water wisteria or bacopa, depending on what you're going to choose to grow in this. Today I'm going to be using kind of a smaller semi-clear tote that I purchased from Walmart. Once you have your container, you can go ahead and add your substrate. I'm going to be using Scott's Premium Topsoil because it's what I have available to me, but Miracle-Gro or simply soil from your backyard is going to do just fine. If you do decide to use soil from outside, just be sure that it hasn't been treated with any pesticides or chemicals. I poured in about 1.5 to 2 inches of soil, and then I added about a capful of Osmocote Plus. And Osmocote Plus is just going to give your plants the nutrients that your soil may be lacking in, so that they can grow healthy and quickly. I recommend this if you're just using a topsoil or soil from outside, but if you're using something like Miracle-Gro, it probably won't be needed. After this, I mixed the fertilizer and the soil together. When it was mixed, I poured in enough water to make the soil very muddy. You need enough water so that when you cover your container, it's going to be very humid. You don't want it to be soup, but you do want it to be a lot more moist than your average household plant, kind of like a muddy swamp, if you will. As mentioned before, growing immersed is very useful when you're growing certain types of plants that grow and propagate slowly. For my setup, I decided to use plants that weren't doing so well from my already established 20-gallon aquarium. I grabbed some smaller Sagittaria plants that were unable to grow well because they were in a dense bush of taller plants. I also decided I would grow some Bacopa caroliniana and a few Anubias that I trimmed from a larger plant too soon, and now they won't grow any larger. I'm also going to be using all of this Marsali that won't seem to carpet, 2 kinds of crypts, and some small cuttings of this Amania gracilis that I've had floating for some time. I started by clipping off the very tips of these Bacopa. The tips of these plants are what we're going to be planting into the soil. Next, I uprooted a crypt Bacchetti plant and broke off some of the small bulbs that were growing on its rhizome. I then took a crypt Wenti and cut off about 1 inch of the rhizome as it had no bulbs growing on it. Both of these are acceptable ways to propagate cryptocorin. I uprooted all of the Marsali from this tank, as even with CO2 and good lighting, it still wasn't carpeting as quickly as I'd like it to. It's definitely a slow growing plant, and I didn't start out with nearly enough of it to have any hope for a decent carpet. Following this, I cut the tips off of some Amania gracilis in the same way as I cut the Bacopa. Once you have your plants ready to go, you can go ahead and start planting them. I just took my planting tongs and started by placing my Sagittaria plants into the soil until their roots were nice and covered. I then moved on to planting the Anubias, covering the roots but making sure to leave the rhizome uncovered. Covering the rhizomes of plants like Anubias and Java fern will cause them to rot. I planted all of my Marsali in rows, followed by planting the Amania gracilis and Bacopa into the soil until just their tops were still visible. My last plants were my crypts, which I just spread out on the top of the soil. I planted the crypt rhizome exactly the same as I did for the Anubias. This is my finished result. I'm really satisfied with it. The only thing that I would maybe change is I would use a tad bit less water. But it's important to remember that these are aquatic plants, so having too much water is definitely better than having too little. When you're satisfied with what you have in front of you, cover the top of your container with plastic wrap. Clear plastic wrap is ideal, but the one I used will be fine as well. Covering the container with plastic wrap allows the humidity to build up inside, ensuring that your plants won't dry out. For lighting, I'm just going to be using a 27-watt light hooked up to a timer that runs for 12 hours. And we're finished. That's really all that you need to do to start growing some aquarium plants immersed. And remember, I just made this setup using some of the things that I already had available to me. It's definitely not the best way or the only way that you can start growing aquarium plants immersed, but it is going to serve its purpose, and I think it turned out really well. Today's video shout out goes to Veronica. Veronica, I just want to thank you for not only supporting me on YouTube, but for supporting me on other social media as well. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like and leave a comment down below telling me what you would like to see me do next. Please consider subscribing, and if you do, remember to hit that little bell and make sure that your notifications are turned to always on. Thank you all so much for watching and have a great day.